All right, welcome back, neighbors. You know, every town has its secrets, its little stories that happen behind closed doors, or, right out on the street. In Antigo, we've got the police blotter, and let me tell you, it's where all the good stuff is. It shows what everyone's really been up to. So let's crack open this week's file, shall we?
I mean, come on, you've wondered, right? You see the squad car whip past your house. You hear a siren off in the distance, and you just have to know what's going on. Well, this is where we find out. From the middle of town to the back county roads, the blotter's got the tea. So yeah, let's get into it.
Okay, first up, my absolute favorite section, the animals. It seems like all the critters in Langlade County had a meeting this week and just decided that human rules are optional. Fences? Suggestions. Yards? Just open space. They were on the loose and living their best lives. And wow, what a list we've got. We're talking a missing plot hound, some chickens, and a rooster just doing their thing, a sad call about an eagle out on State Road 55, and of course, a dog waiting patiently, or not so patiently, in a car while its owner played pickleball. But believe it or not, none of those were the wildest call of the week. Oh no. So picture this. It's not even 5 a.m. You're getting ready for work, and you look out your window, and there's a donkey just trotting down Century Avenue. Or maybe a mini horse. The caller wasn't totally sure. But yeah, thankfully the owner was found and came to get their little escape artist. Just another totally normal morning here in Antigo, right?
All right, so it wasn't just the four-legged creatures making a scene on the roads this week. Oh no. The people of Langlade County had their own share of pavement-related drama. And trust me, we're talking about a lot more than just a few traffic stops.
So this week, we had a reoccurring character. Officers kept getting calls about a man on what sounds like an incredible journey, walking from Iowa all the way to Michigan. First, he spotted napping at the Quick Trip. A few days later, he's sleeping at a wayside out on 45. Then, just a bit later, he shows up at someone's house on 45, just asking for a soda. The last call was about him sitting in a ditch, but by the time officers got there, he was gone. A modern-day Forrest Gump, just passing through.
You know, sometimes we all need a little reminder about the rules of the road. This week's lesson? What you can drive where. For instance, a friendly officer had to inform someone on Neva Road that, no, you can't cruise around town in your golf cart. And someone else got a little chat about riding their ATV on US 45. So here's the public service announcement. If it's not a car, a truck, or a motorcycle, it probably doesn't belong on the highway. Just saying.
And then there's this gem from Lincoln Street. A caller reports that their neighbor is, wait for it, punching a truck. Just yelling and punching a truck. The advice from the officer who showed up is just priceless. So simple, but so true. Hey, probably not a great idea to touch other people's stuff. You know? Words we can all live by. You know that old saying, good fences make good neighbors? Well, this week's blotter is here to tell us that sometimes that's not quite enough. Let's dive into the world of neighborly disagreements, or as I like to call them, interpersonal friction. Okay, get this. Someone on Birch Road called the police because they got a weird, unwanted letter from a person they went to high school with over 15 years ago. Can you imagine? Some people just can't let high school go, I guess. The person was actually asking about how to get a restraining order. Yikes. And oh, the squabbles didn't stop there. We had tenants on First Avenue who wouldn't let a landlord in to fix a ceiling. A civil complaint about tenants not picking up after their dogs. Out on County Road T, someone's convinced their neighbor messed with their fence. And on County Road D, somebody's running air compressors super late at night. You know, just the everyday joys of living next to other human beings.
All right, let's turn down the lights a little bit, because when the sun sets in Antigo, things can get, well, a little weird. This is the part of the blotter that deals with the bumps in the night, the things that make you go, what was that?
This next one played out over a few nights, and it's unsettling. It all comes from the same house on South Pratt Road. First, the resident calls about a car on their camera and a bunch of spam calls. Okay, weird, but maybe a coincidence. But then, they call back saying they can hear people on the camera talking about getting rid of him. The next day, they see a figure run across the camera's view. Now, officers checked it out each time, but still, that's a seriously spooky series of events. Okay, for a mystery that's a little less scary and a lot more funny, have you ever been so into saving big money at Menards that you forget what time it is? Well, somebody did. They actually had to call for help because they got locked inside the woodyard after the store closed. Whoops, an officer had to come and bust them out. An honest mistake.
But not everything in the blotter is fun and games. On a much more serious note, there was a fraud report from a resident on Eastview Drive. Someone managed to take $20,000 from their Covantage account. That's a huge, scary number. And it's a really important reminder that this kind of serious stuff happens here too. You've got to watch your accounts like a hawk.
So, okay, we've had runaway donkeys, guys walking to Michigan, neighbors punching trucks, and late-night lock-ins. After wading through all that, what's the moral of the story? What's the big lesson from this week in the life of Antigo?
I think it's pretty simple, actually. In Antigo, you just have to expect the unexpected. I mean, one minute it's a noise complaint, the next it's a donkey on the loose. Life here is never, ever boring, and the blotter is the proof.
So, let's wrap this up with some practical, real-world advice, courtesy of this week's reports. Number 1. Keep your car doors locked. 2. Your golf cart is not a highway vehicle. 3. Before you settle in to browse lumber, check the closing time at Menards. And finally, and this is a big one, maybe just don't punch your neighbor's truck. Sound good?
And that's our week. But as this one ends, you just know another one is already getting started. You gotta wonder, what's happening out there right now that's gonna make us all gasp next week? What stories are just waiting to hit the blotter? We'll just have to wait and see.